Welcome everyone to this Let's Play of Kerbal Space Program Release 1.0. Now, it's been a while since we've seen Val on Minmus. Now, she was supposed to land just on the other side of this ridge over there. We can see the ore site waypoint marker over there on the left. She didn't manage such an excellent precision landing, but she did manage to land very gently on this very large and open plain. The idea of this landing is to begin our ore collection. We have a contract to collect 1,150 units of ore and bring that back into the orbit of Kerbin. Now, unfortunately for Val, we've only got two of these rather small radial holding tanks, and they're only going to hold a grand total of 150 units. So that's 10 trips. So we're going to have to sort out a better carrier vehicle. But I think to begin with, we should actually just start deploying our drills and just see whether we have actually landed on a reasonable deposit of ore. So we've got the drills deployed, so we can now start harvesting from the surface. So let's start that for both drills. So let's start harvesting. Now we can see the temperature is rising rapidly, but hopefully these radiators should sort that out, and we should see that eventually we start collecting some ore. That would be nice to see, wouldn't it? So we have ore collection begun. Now, because Val is a pilot, it's going to be rather inefficient, but it's a start. And to complete our start and to collect our full amount of 1,150 units, we're going to have to bring up a much larger vehicle. So let's pop back to the KSC and do exactly that. Now, we have a number of choices to start this vessel with. We used the cupola module for the drilling platform, but I thought we'll use the Mark II lander can to start this build, mainly because not only can we bring along a pilot, but we can bring along an engineer as well and use it as a transfer vehicle. Okay, well, we're going to do quite a basic build for this. We'll put on a large reaction wheel, and then to that we'll add our standard Rocamax tank, and finally our poodle engine. Now, where's our poodle engine? There we go, there's our poodle engine. So that's going to be our basic capsule. That's going to be the basic transport vehicle that we're going to use. We're going to use it to bring up crew to the drilling platform that's currently being manned by Val, and we're also going to use it to collect ore and bring that back into orbit for our contract. Now, to do that, we're going to need some holding tanks. Now, we've got these radial holding tanks, but we know they only hold 175 units of ore. So we're going to use these small holding tanks. There's 300 units of ore. So if we go to six-way symmetry, that should be sufficient for us to bring back the requisite amount of fuel. So there we go, there's 6 tanks. So we've now got fuel to transport ourselves back and forth to the Mun. We've got our holding tanks, so it's really just a matter of making this a functional vehicle. So I think we should get on with that. Now, one of the things we'll need is we will need from our controls section a scriptable control unit to help with launch. Mainly we use it for our launch and circularization scripts. Probably need some batteries. Let's work from top down. We'll probably need some batteries. So let's go to my little battery filter. So let's pick up some of these Z400 batteries. Can we squeeze those in there? There we go. I know they're clipping in a little bit, but that should be fine. So that should be plenty of battery storage. Now, here on the top, I think we'll put our docking ports. Let's put our Clampatron docking port. That's our junior docking port. So let's go for the standard docking port. Let's drop that on there. Like, oops, no, we don't want 6 of them. One will do. There we go. That's one. we probably need a little bit of light. So let's go for some illuminators. What have we got in the way of illuminators? Now we've got our standard stock Mark II illuminators, which we'll use for down-facing lights. Perhaps we'll use these from Abraham's Light Co. As a custom light, and we'll put a series of those in here. They'll provide us with a little light for docking and a little light for just giving us a little bit of a glow at night. Right, antenna. Let's have a look. Antenna. Oops. Here we go. Antenna. Let's just get a little communicator. Now, we don't actually need antennas. We're not working with remote tech, but let's just try a little bit of sort of role play. So we'll have one antenna in there. What else do we need? Well, we need to get some RCS going, and we'll also need ladders, landing legs, and we'll also need some connectors for the oar, because I'm going to use the Kerbal Attachment System to connect this vehicle to the drilling rig. So right, so we've got batteries. That should be good. This vehicle's not going to need much in the way of batteries, but it will need a way of powering them, or at least recharging them. So let's go for panels. We'll go for the 1x6s, and we will squeeze those in 6-way here. Let's just rotate them upside down. Can we extend them here? Can we extend panel? Just see it fits there over the top. Maybe needs to be lifted a little higher. We want it to be able to rotate, so let's see if we can just bring them up just a little bit. There we go. So if we extend that now, there we go, clears the top of the tank quite easily. So let's action wheel, let's retract. There we go. So there we go, retracted that. So we've got panels, we've got electricity. Let's get some life support. See if we can find our life support container, our life support mini pack. So let's get our life support mini pack. We don't need 6, 2 should be ample. 2 should be ample. Now you notice I'm not putting any parachutes on this unit, on this craft, because we're not actually going to bring this craft back down to Kerbin. We might actually use it as a bit of an ore transporter between Minmus, Kerbin and the Mun and so on. So we're not actually going to use it as a landing craft. So no parachutes required, but we do need some RCS and some docking. So we need some RCS fuel. So what have we got away in terms of RCS fuel tanks? So we've got these really, really large ones, which are probably too large, and then we've got these smaller ones. This is a little diddy one, which would fit on the top of here, but obviously we've got our solar panels in the way. So what we'll do, I think, is we will extend here at the top and just add a 6 more docking ports. There we go. So we've got a little more in the way of RCS fuel, and it also gives us a little bit of clearance here for when we're docking. Don't want any of these parts to clip in or crash into other parts of the station we're connecting to. Okay, so next I think we need some RCS jets. So what we're going to do is we're going to bring up the RCS build age, which tells us where our centre of mass and centre of rotation are going to be, and we're going to get some of these stock RV105 thruster blocks, and we're just going to chuck them in here. Now we've got 6-way symmetry at the moment, which is going to prove a little bit awkward for getting this perfectly centered, because if we do that, we want to make sure they're fitting in between the tanks like so. And you can see as we adjust the position of our thruster block, you can see the red circle shows the direction of rotation. And if we get that somewhere in the middle here, you can also see there on the right hand side our torque, our rotational torque is just 0.003 of a kilonewton, but that's when we are full of fuel and empty of ore. Now, we're probably going to be docking with the station for refueling when we're probably, let's say, halfway through the fuel, and we're all going to be hopefully tanked up with ore. So that's that one full, and because symmetry is on, all the others are as well. So you can see how the red blob here showing our dry centre of mass has moved quite considerably, and as a result we have got a fair amount of torque. So let's just move that until we're maybe averaging out a little, somewhere in here. And then if we go back to, go back to full and empty, still quite a bit of rotation. So let's see if we can get somewhere. There we go. Not quite as far down, but that should give us relatively good stability. We've got a very big reaction wheel here, so that should help us stay on the straight and narrow. Now, we are on Minmus, but I like to have something to grab hold of when I am trying to get in and out of the capsule. So we will put one ladder piece on. So let's go and get our Pegasus 1 mobility enhancer. We don't need 6, we just need the 1. Give us something extra just to grab hold of. But we do need legs, so we need some lander legs. No, not lags, legs. Oh, there we go, leg. We'll take the LT1 landing strut, and because we have 6-way symmetry here, we are going to have a bit of a problem getting our legs lower than, so let's, oops, are they up the right way? Yes, they are up the right way. They're going to be a bit, they're going to be a bit, I think should be alright. I know they're kind of just on the edge of our tanks, but I think we are off the ground just a little bit. So they should be fine. So that gives us our landing legs. So let's undeploy them. But what we are still lacking is our connector port, and I'm going to put the connector ports on the bottom. Now they might be a little bit restricted there because of the angle of connection. We'll have 6. We're going to have to turn them over, make sure they're up the right way. There we go, so we've got 6. Now of course when that pipe comes straight down, it's going to be rather difficult to get it connected across to our target vehicle. So what we're going to do is we are going to use some pylons and some additional connector ports. So what we're going to do, let's put some additional connector ports. Oh, I missed. Where are we? Can I see that? There we go. Drag and drop. Drag and drop. Oh, it stayed there. Okay. So we're going to have 1 spare. Let's get 6 in total. We're going to have this one up here. Just throw that away. I said throw that away. There we go. So throw that away. But we still need some pylons. So we've got these large ground pylons, or we've got the smaller concrete ground bases. So we'll take 2 of those. 2. Oh, I'm going to miss it again, aren't I? There we go. 1. Oh. Why can't I drop that? We full. Let's see. Close. Let's try the other seat. Seat 1. We've got 2 seats. So let's try this seat. There we go. 1, 2. And how many connector pipes did we have in seat 0? We had 4. So, yep, so we should have 1 for either side of the pylon and a couple of spares. So maybe we will fill with pylons. Fill with connector ports, just so we've got plenty spare, so we can connect up these additional pylons to other parts of our vehicle if we need. We'll take along a wrench as well, just to make sure we always have a wrench available to us. I wouldn't want our pilot to be without a wrench. Now Val's not going to be able to use the wrench, so we are going to have to bring an engineer with us. So let's just make sure we have an engineer available to us. We've got a scientist and a pilot, which means Bill must be up in the station. So we are going to have to dock with the station in order to oh, parts with crew capacity, it's already loaded them, so they'll be preloaded. So we are going to have to swap our crew over at the station in order to bring our heroic Bill down to the surface in order to operate the station and also to connect up all the ports. But before that, we'll get our final set of illuminators on. So we'll take the Mark II illuminator, which is a little bit... let's get rid of that. Oh, there we go. Put the lights here over the top of the landing leg, so we get light onto the surface. Now Minmus' surface is quite bright, but at night it might prove a little bit difficult to land, so that could prove a problem, hence illuminators to bring us a light. So let's just review our craft, see how we're going. We have the main lander can here with our 2 heroic crew in it. We have powered batteries and voltaic cells. We obviously have our holding tanks, our fuel tank, we have supplies in these mini packs, and we have our RCS thrusters to control our docking. So let's just name this vehicle before we lose it to the Kraken. So this is going to be the Ore Transport Mark 1. We rarely have a Mark 2 of anything, but it may be true in this case. So I think the next thing we need to do is just review our build and then get on with building a launch stage. Right, I've brought out a rather straightforward asparagus launcher. It's got 3 orange tanks, as you can see, and there you can see the little pipes in there, little fuel pipes that make this an asparagus staged launcher. However, it's got relatively limited delta V, relatively limited thrust to weight ratio, and that's without the fairing built. Now I'm using the stock fairing, the Airstream AEFF2. So let's just build the fairing. Let's just make sure it doesn't clash with those parachutes there on the outer section. Let's just bring this up and bring this in towards the center like so. And let's close it up. There we go, close the fairing. Now that's a very dumpy payload, and it's considerably added to the weight, and it's considerably reduced obviously the thrust to weight ratio as a result, and down the delta V. So I think we're going to need some assistance getting this thing into space, if nothing else. So I think we're going to need to use we're going to definitely need to use some rather cheap boosters. So what I'm going to do, take those off there, go into structural and go and find my favorite radial decouplers, and let's just add, is that 2? No, that's only the 1. So let's put symmetry to 2. There we go, there's our 2 extra decouplers there, and what we'll do now is we'll go and get some of the we've either got the twin bore liquid fuel engines, but they're 17,000 each. We might have to come back to those, but we do have these SRBs which only cost 2,700, or we've got the slightly smaller BACC thumpers. Let's try the thumpers first. Let's just put a couple of thumpers on there first and just see what that gives me. Put them in the right stage. We're up to 4,000, but only 1.4 thrust to weight ratio, which is okay, but it's not great. So let's go up a SRB and put on let's put on these. Now they are much longer, and that might prove a problem for let's just drop those for a second and lift this up. This may prove a problem for our design, because that's going to make them much longer than we actually have room for. Even if I bring these right down, I don't know that maybe we can. Is that going to work? Oh, barely. But it's only 1.52 and not that much additional delta V, so maybe we are going to be stuck with our twin bore liquid fuel engine. So should we try? Let's try going away from our orange tanks and going up to the London Fire Brigade twin bore liquid fuel tanks here on the outside. Oh, that's not fitted right. So let's get them fitted correctly. Is that better? Yeah, that's better. Let's get our fuel lines, which are under fuel tanks. So let's get our external fuel ducts and just attach them like so. There we go. Now I haven't added the necessary aerodynamic parts yet, but we've now got much more thrust to weight ratio, but reduced delta V. So maybe we should just go maybe we should just go overboard and over-engineer in the traditional way that Kerbals would. If at first you don't succeed, more boosters, or in this case more liquid fuel boosters. So let's try another set of these twin bores here on the outside, and again another set of fuel ducts, and just pipe that into there like so. So we've got 1.61. That's much better, a much better total delta V, even though these are in the wrong stage, so that won't help. Let's get everything down in the right stage and just double check what we have. So we got 3.46. That's way too much than we need for launch, but it should make for an exciting launch, if nothing else. Right, so we need to somehow improve our delta V. Let's improve our delta V. Our aerodynamics. We need to improve our aerodynamics. Now, what shall we use? Now, from the aerodynamics section, we've got these aerodynamic nose cones, but they're way too small. We've got these much larger rocket nose cones, which are much better, but they stick into our fairing, which is no good. So we might have to come up with some form of compromise. So let's see, what have we got from structural? What have we got from structural that we might be able to use to compromise? We've got these Rocamax adapters, but I think they're going to be just as big. So we'll use these adapters O2. Let's plonk those on the top there. Oh, just missed. There we go. And same over here. There we go. No, missed again. And we'll get our parachutes to go on the top. Let's get our chutes. Don't know if we'll save all 4 of these, but you never know. We'll have a go. So that should do for aerodynamics. Let's make sure we got all our we can make sure we've got all of our chutes in the right section. So this is the second set to go, so they will go in there. This is the first set to go, so they will go in there. So that's our chute setup. We probably need some space tape. So where we got our struts, there we go, some strut connectors, because these are extremely potent engines. So we are definitely going to need to strut these together. So let's get the strut in there, connected to, there we go, the top there. And we need to do the same on this side. So let's pick up another strut connector and bring it right to that edge. Just there. Is that connected? Yep, that's connected. So we've got some strut connectors there to hold those in place. Let's just save this. Plus launcher. There we go. So this is this very overpowered launcher. KOS is going to have a hard time dealing with this. So we may have to tune down. We'll tune down the thrust to get a little more burn time out of these engines. Let's get our launch stabilizers. Put those back on. So there's 2 there and 2 here. And then get those into the launch stage. Now you'll notice we are considerably over mass, so we are going to have to spend some money upgrading our launch pad. It had to come, it had to happen, so it may as well happen now. Let's just bring this down nearer the pad. There we go. Let's just give that another save. Right, now we're going to have to bring down the thrust on all of these engines. We don't want to be over thrust because KOS will have a heart attack trying to keep that in check. So let's bring that down to about 1/3, and let's bring this down to about 1/3 as well. Perhaps not quite as much. Bring them down to... There we go. So that's about 1/2. So we've got just under 1.6 here in the first stage. So let's bring that up a little. Make sure we get nice and cleanly off the pad. We then have 1.6 once we get for first stage separation, and then finally we should be near into space. Our 0.87 will be nearer the the 1.68 by the time we get there. 4,500 delta V. We'll see, won't we, whether that is actually what we need. All we got to do is get our capsule up here to docking range of our orbiter, and then we can refuel if necessary. So, with that said, I'd like to thank you for watching, because we'll see the launch and rendezvous in the next episode. Look forward to seeing you again. Bye bye.